This is Author to Author, and I'm Tim Trott. The title of today's chapter is The Mechanical Quill. Author to Author is brought to you by Cybershoot Web Hosting, the best place for your author website. I'm an author. I'm also the owner of Cybershoot Hosting. Here's the truth. Cheap hosting looks good until you add up the real cost, like hosted email, you@yoursite.com. What about daily backups? There are hidden costs like security certificates known as SSL. Added up and the deal isn't a deal after all. It's all included in the Cybershoot Author Package for only $10 a month. You can sell your books direct, track your ad results, grow your email list, and when you need help, you get real humans, not a robot, and not a foreign call center. And there's a special bonus from me when you follow this link. The Mechanical Quill. A hypothetical question about what Charles Dickens might have thought if the typewriter had arrived during his lifetime, exploring the tension between human craft and mechanical efficiency, between the soul of writing and the seduction of technology. On a wet London afternoon, Charles Dickens sits by the window with pen in hand, watching the rain trace lines across the glass. His desk is orderly, in the way only a working writer's desk can be. Ink, blotter, stacked pages, the stubborn calm of a mind set to labor. Yet in his imagination a machine has begun to intrude, a clattering contraption of keys and levers, promising to do in an instant what a writer has always done by patience, pressure, and pain. He frowned at the thought, not because he feared progress, but because he feared substitution. A machine to write for us? Then what becomes of the writer? The question hangs in the air, almost grieving. It is the central question of this story and perhaps of every age that watches a new tool promise to replace the hand that once did the work. The answer comes to Dickens not as a rebuttal, but as grief. A writer is not merely a dispenser of sentences. A writer listens for the cough in a crowded alley, sees the moral bruise in a banker's smile, feels the hunger beneath a child's politeness. A writer turns lived experiences into witness. If a machine can arrange words without hunger, without shame, without love, without the long ache of observation, then it can mimic language, but not the human soul that language was meant to bear. Dickens imagines the objections already rising from his fellows, those guardians of the pen. They would say the new device was quicker, cleaner, more efficient. They would praise its neatness, its uniformity, its resistance to messy corrections, and perhaps the machine would indeed spare the hand. But Dickens hears, beneath such praise, a dangerous temptation to value output over authorship, speed over thought, convenience over craft. Dickens looks again at the page. The pen has not merely recorded his ideas, it has slowed him to its pace. It requires decision, it forces a sentence to earn its place. The machine, by contrast, seems to promise a flood without a source, a finished surface without the unseen labor beneath it. There is a deliberation in the act of writing by hand that is inseparable from the quality of what is written. And yet, because he was Dickens, he would not react with pure alarm. He would recognize the social drama in the invention itself. The typewriter, like every instrument of modern life, would not arrive in a vacuum. It would enter offices, publishers' rooms, newsrooms, and eventually the homes of those who could afford it. It would change who got to produce words and how fast and for whom. Such tools were never merely tools. They were forces that reordered labor, widened some doors and closed others. So Dickens would object, but not as a reactionary. He would object as a craftsman defending meaning. He would ask whether the machine served the writer or whether the writer had begun to serve the machine. He would ask whether readers wanted polished surfaces or true minds. And if some future generation told him such doubts were old-fashioned, he would likely answer that every age calls its conscience obsolete the moment conscience becomes inconvenient. Outside, the rain continues. Dickens dips his pen, and the page awaits him, not efficiently, not instantly, but humanly. This is the image, the enduring act of writing as a profoundly human endeavor. No machine can replace the patience, the vulnerability, the deliberation that the blank page demands of the writer who faces it honestly. The machine does not replace it, it enables. One of the earliest famous writers to openly welcome the typewriter was Mark Twain, Samuel Clemons. He's often credited as the first major author to submit a typed manuscript to a publisher. His book Life on the Mississippi in 1883 is frequently cited in that context. Twain was fascinated by new technology and reportedly embraced the typewriter, at least initially, as a modern tool that could improve writing and legibility. That said, his enthusiasm was a bit mixed over time. He later joked about the machine's quirks and even claimed, with some exaggeration, that he regretted adopting it. Still, historically, he stands out as the early literary figure who welcomed and helped legitimize the typewriter in professional writing. The themes explored here, craft versus convenience, the writer's soul versus mechanical efficiency, remain as relevant today as they would have been in the time of Charles Dickens or Mark Twain. Despite fears Dickens might have had, the typewriter did not replace the quill, it extended it, just as video did not replace the still camera, television did not replace movie or stage plays. The threat of technology tends to be exaggerated. AI is but a tool, of course, not to replace the writer, but to expand the writer's toolbox. However, there is always an unavoidable adjustment. This presentation was conceived and directed by a human, but written by Perplexity AI. And the presentation was generated by Copilot and then edited because Copilot rarely gets anything right the first time. The Mark Twain slide was generated by ChatGPT. The narration? Well, it's only human. Thank you for being here. Please share this video with your friends on social media. Be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons and click the bell so you'll know when to join us for the next chapter of Author to Author.